My friend and sister Sharon. Today we are discussing, when does anger become sin? The scriptures tell us, beloved, in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. Paul wrote the church in Ephesus, and Paul said this. He said, "Be angry, but sin not, and do not let the sun go down on your wrath," or your anger. When you or I, beloved, will not get in prayer and work through, I call it chopping it up. If you don't chop up what you're feeling and decompress from your day and confront what has happened that has ruffled your feathers and riled you up, you can allow a root of bitterness to come forth. And one of the things that I will tell you that helps, beloved, is to immediately call out that person's name and bless them. God, I bless sister so and so. God, I bless brother so and so. Because let's face it, we're going to have disagreements, friends, us that are brethren. And you're going to have issues with your children, your spouse, your coworkers, or things that happened to you in your past. There are some people who are carrying around so much anger, so much baggage. They refuse to let it go. And this is where many people end up in all types of mental torment because they refuse to forgive. They refuse to bless those that curse them, bless those that oppose you. Friends, we practice this at Motivating You to Win because we deal with so many people, and you have to immediately forgive. We release them, we bless them, and let them go on because we deal with too many people, friends, and sometimes things just happen. Beloved, you have to know when you're going too far with that emotion. That's what I want to give you today. Number one, anger is causing you to sin. Instead of blessing that person, you got to do it quickly, friend. You got to, hang up the phone, get away quiet, and chop it up. Go before God quick and talk it out. Unless you will end up doing what the scriptures tell us in 1 Peter chapter 2 and 1, you begin to carry malice, slander, and you will begin, beloved, to become an adversary, an accuser of the brethren, because now you're putting your mouth on that person. You begin to bash and slander and become divisive, and you send stuff out and say, what do you think of sister so-and-so? You already know you have an ought with them because you won't let it go. And you start trying to recruit. See, that's what you'll do when you're angry. You start a recruitment and you start constantly making an occasion wherever you can find an audience, you start talking about that person. It could be someone that raped you. It could be someone that took advantage of you. Beloved, the scriptures teach us we must pardon these obstructions, these sins against us. We got to do it. So number one, you will start walking in malice, slander, and usually a person that's angry is also seething with envy and jealousy. That provokes that disposition of anger, and they will begin to campaign against their target. And recruitment is the number one way they recruit everybody to get on their side. They tell the half part of the story. So number one, malice, slander, instigated by envy. And the scriptures tell us in 1 Peter chapter 2, starting in verse 1, you begin to walk in hypocrisy because you become a murderer with your mouth. Number two, you are sinning with your anger when you begin to destroy other people's property or your own. You're busting out windows, you're cutting up clothes, you're slashing tires and throwing bleach, and you're just dumping people's stuff in the dumpsters. You're just doing all these things to harm their property. Friends, you are sinning. You are going too far. You are way out of control. It is not justified because right now you're working out of wrath, and that rage in you is causing you to destroy this property of whoever's that it is. And some people, you start harming yourself, self-hatred, self-loathing. You're angry at yourself for something that you did. You start cutting your wrist. You start drinking. You start sleeping around. You start actually bringing damage to your physical vessel because of anger and self-hatred that is driven by regret. And this is where we find people who are smoking, drinking, and doing all types of perversion sexually because deep in their hearts, they are so full of hatred towards themselves, which is a violation of the commandments of Jesus, that we must love God with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength, and our neighbor as ourselves. So once the enemy bait us, he wants to send that bait through anger. See, when you're offended, if you don't shake that stuff off of you, brother, and just leave things alone, you can't force a person to have a relationship with you once they decide they don't want a relationship. You can't try to kill them because they don't. You have to let it go. So you start destroying property. You start doing things that are very destructive. There are women and men who are angry at their ex-spouse for cheating on them, but they're now in homosexual and lesbian affairs because they're driven by that anger now of the opposite sex. Friends, these things, you have to dig it up, pluck it out, and kill it. You have to expose it and lay an axe to the root. You got to get rid of it, friends, because it can cost you your soul. Number 3, anger is sin when you are plotting and planning to retaliate. Your heart is full of all this malice and resentment, and you are constantly in your head thinking about now killing that person. You're having all types of dreams and fantasies in your mind of that person being harmed and something evil and bad happening to them. Friends, you are sinning. And we must never forget, beloved, a person does not pull out a gun and blow someone's head off or shoot and stab them to death because they just oopsie. This is brewing in the heart. Jesus said it's not what goes in, it's what's coming out of you. And this stuff has to be dealt with in you. You have to bring it to the cross. You have to let it go. And then we find people who throw fits of rage and no one can control you. You're just seething. You're cussing everybody out. And the scripture also says this, beloved, in Ephesians chapter 4:31, to put away evil speaking. Now you cussing up a storm. Everybody you talk to, you're bringing up these people because you will not release them through prayer and confession. God bless so-and-so. God bless them. You got to let them go, friends, because it will destroy you. Anger, some things, it's just not right, especially when you're dealing with Christ and people who are lying on him. They're living all types of lifestyles and they're trying to act like they're followers of Jesus. That can make you angry. When you sit in corrupt churches and they are worshiping the pastor, worshiping their wives, worshiping money, worshiping cars, and how these things can bring about vexation. But how do we utilize that anger in a good way? We speak up and we speak out and we begin to sound the alarm to help our brothers and sisters. We don't become destructive where we start assassinating everybody's character. I'm talking about personally attacking people. And so, beloved, let's go to the cross. Let us all take time, sometime today or after you watch this video, and call out your enemies and ask God to bless them so that that thing that's stirring in you can be broken. It's through confession, friends. And remember this as I close. The scriptures teach us, he or she that covers your sin will not prosper. You will never, ever find God's peace and joy as long as you are a person that refuse to forgive. And you keep on saying they shouldn't have did that to me. And God will ask you the question, what about all the things you've done to me? You cannot avoid friction, and sometimes you're going to have fallouts. But you are in trouble with God, beloved, when you walk away and you become a slanderer and you begin to plot and plan in your heart how to harm that person and retaliate or how to destroy their property. We don't want to do that, friends. He or she that has an ear to hear, let us hear today. God bless you, my friends. Till next time.